Good morning and welcome to Frank's School. 54th day of the 7th year, first video. I'm sorry if the camera, I keep disappearing from the camera, but I don't have a cameraman and I guess I'm doing the best I can here. Alright, this is still Act 4. Still. I've got a few more thoughts on Act 4. I'm so close to the end of this very, very long playlist. A screenplay, as close as I'll probably ever come to writing a screenplay. But I have a few more thoughts about Act 4. This is about the making of the wordless movie Resurrection. First of all, Bryn, it occurred to me, is being left out as I've just been describing these things. She, you might even think she's not a necessary character. And that's not true at all. But you know, that would have to be something that the director or the cameraman or whatever would see to. And there could be more of her with Marion, who, after all, is her father. That has to be figured out. You know, since there's no words in this movie, that has to be kind of figured out. But there's that, and also the goats. I mean, people love to see animals in general, healthy, lively animals. And so she and goats, you know, I think they have a reputation which goes beyond their ability to take an area and clean it up by browsing it and eating all the briars and bushes and stuff. Well, goats are actually more picky than that, but still, they do that. So that's one thing. Should there be music dedicated to the fair itself? There probably has to be something. You know, as a drone flies around and you see all this activity at the fair, you know, Scarborough Fair, are you going to Scarborough Fair? Oh dear, what can the matter be, Johnny, so long at the fair? You know, at the moment, I'm kind of coming up dry with ideas about that. But what I really got thinking about was moving from the fair up to the concert hall, the Thomas Hockling Hall. That could be a virtual parade led by Batch, and there is so much fun that could be had, musical fun that could be had in this. Batch could really come into his own here, and a referee's whistle, you know, when there's a foul or you know, that piercing whistle, he could use that. He's always experimenting with different instruments. And that brings a samba band to mind, something most of you've probably never heard, but in Brazil, as Carnival would approach, a lot of times kids would march through the streets beating tin cans and pots and whatever, and they'd be led by somebody with a whistle, you know, to set the cadence or to change the cadence to the next thing. that could be brought into it, it seems to me. The mouthpieces, he's always messing around with mouthpieces, and that could eventually, I'm planting the seed for a gentle joke at the end, which might or might not work. But it could work here. If he's got a bigger mouthpiece, he could, for example, announce a tune like Pomp and Circumstances. But back to this, a Sousa March in 6/8, way back toward the beginning of this, I suggested that a triple meter, I think, is something that this movie could help to bring back. 6/8 is such a lively tune, or a lively beat, and Sousa marches. Now, I'm very purposely staying away from militaristic stuff, and his marches in general often tend to be kind of militaristic. But I'll bet there's a Sousa march, which could be used at least briefly. Heart and Soul. That's in. I was thinking about 6/8 and Heart and Soul. One of the reasons that's so catchy, you know, kids pound it out on the piano, bump it up, bump it up. It's got that repetitive chord progression, and so it makes it easy enough to play on the piano. Heart and Soul, da 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 da. It could be alluded to. You know, getting more serious, Xerxes Largo. I mean, that's a gorgeous thing. You know, if you needed to sort of settle stuff down as you go in for the service itself, which is going to have to be so short. Pomp and Circumstance is so much used, it's available almost for a joke. because it's so used for procession. and that could be used. Now, I wrote down the bridge in the wedding in the wedding march from A Midsummer Night's Dream, or the overture. Well, that one goes and you know the mouthpiece, you know, Batch could possibly start that off. But there's a bridge that is not so well known. I mean, after that glorious thing is, and the bride and the groom, they usually leave, or very often will leave a church to that tune. Then there's a bridge, which is really lovely music, and it could be used during the service, which is going to be so short, just slipping a ring on either hand. I mean, a wedding. I draw from the book Islandia in a way here, that when a couple got married in Islandia, they just publicly told their friends and families that they were going to be married, or they were married, and that's it. And it would be close to that. All right, finally, Bruegel. I think of Bruegel and his wedding dance in open air, done in 1566. I'll put this on as a link so you can see it. But anyway, I'll move it toward the camera just on the chance that you might be able to see it. You know, with the dance out there. Well, all right. Now I think I am ready to go on, I hope, to Act 5. Bye for now.